Well, good morning, everybody. Actually, might be afternoon for some of you. My name is Michael Falco, and I'm going to be the point person here for the upcoming Institute. So what I'd like to do is go through, we have a presentation here for you today. One thing I want to say is if you have any questions that might pop up in your head, feel free to drop them in the chat. I know we have folks that are going to be able to help us answer those questions for you. What we're going to do today is we're going to quickly go through some introductions, the folks that are on with us today that are going to be helping facilitate this. We'll go through the history and goals, the approach that we take. We'll talk a little bit about the COVID-19 restrictions and things that we have in place. And then we're going to go through some dates and times and some of the speakers and give you a little bit of a feel for how that works out. Okay. One person that I would like to we're going to let everyone introduce themselves, but one person who's not with us this morning, he's far away, is Frank Zerunian, the director, and he's the guy who I report to, so he's my boss, so I'll pretend to be him. I was going to wear a different hat, but his classic is the bow tie. I don't have a bow tie. I don't know how to do one. He'll have to teach me that. But Carrie, if you want to start it off, fire away.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Carrie Mullen, and I am the Director of Legislative Staff Services for NCSL. I've been with NCSL for about a year now, and I previously served as the Chief Clerk of the House for the Idaho House of Representatives for 10 years. Looking forward to getting together with all of you. It's a great program, and I hope you all enjoy. Thanks.
Awesome. Leonore, go right ahead.
Good morning and good afternoon. My name is Leonore Ailing. I'm a co-director of LSMI. I am a former legislative staffer, 20 years, and I'm now with Sacramento State, CSU Sacramento, and we're helping to run LSMI. Having participated in LSMI as a staffer, I know how valuable it can be. And I really look forward to meeting all of you and reliving the whole experience with you. It's a very intense week, but it'll be a lot of fun. And my colleague here, my partner in crime, Jamie Taylor, who's the calm in the storm, is next up.
Well, thank you, Leonore. Now I have to live up to that, and I shall try and give it my all. But thank you very much for being here, taking time, investing in yourselves. It's a sign that the institution really is behind you. It's why you're here. And we thank you for your service. I myself have had over 18 years working in the California Senate, working in joint committee consultant capacity, as well as in the office of the Secretary of the Senate, producing what we call the daily file in the California Senate, or the agenda, which is what many other states might call it. Loved kind of maintaining the integrity of the process, so process, procedure. We processed, record, validated, and noticed everything in relation to the bill making process. So I love that part of the job, but I also am people-centered and have migrated into more of a training role and capacity as the director of the California Senate Fellows Program currently. So a lot of training in my program, and it's one of the reasons why I'm here. I understand you. I love the work that we all do. My eyes don't glaze over if we start talking about what we do, unlike most of our families and friends. So you have a friend in me, and I look forward to getting to know all of you throughout this process and this program. So thank you and welcome.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jamie. That's great, because I'm still trying to figure out which way is up, and sometimes up is down. Yeah, we'll figure it out. It's good. I just came on board, everybody. So I'll give you, let me tell you about Frank. So I'll put my little hat on of Frank Zerunian. Professor Zerunian is a professor of practice at the Price School at USC, which is actually behind me in my background there. That's the Price School of Public Policy. And he's the director of executive education. He also oversees all of the USC Reserve Officers Training Corps, which is ROTC. And he's in charge of basically the Air Force, Army, Navy, Reserve ROTC. He also lectures in governance, public-private partnerships, civic and ethic leadership, land use, medical regulation, negotiation. Actually wrote a book called New Negotiation. He actually, the reason I know him is he was my doctoral advisor from 2016 to 2020. And that's how we became close friends. He's also a mayor/councilman for the city of Rolling Hills Estates. here in Southern California. And he's definitely looking forward to, he's out of the country at the moment, but he's definitely looking forward to meeting everyone and especially, when we all get together next month up in Sacramento. As for me, I'm the court jester. I'm the guy that's supposed to be the tech guy. I'm teasing. My background is actually municipal government. I was the assistant city manager of the city of Inglewood, right here, where SoFi Stadium, home of the Rams, and home of the Chargers. I also, prior to that, was part of the land of Nerdia. I'm a computer scientist, so kind of awkward that I ended up public policy and homeland security. So I look forward to meeting everybody as well, and I'll be your point person. So if you send emails to me, or you might send emails to lead@usc.edu, you're probably going to get a response from me, which is great. And on that note, I would mention that as I finalize everyone's biographies and pictures, there are about a dozen of you that I'm still waiting for that. So that's your homework assignment. I'm a professor at Cal State University Fullerton, so I tend to tell my students, you got to turn your stuff in on time. My late policy, it's not good. You got to turn it in. So I'll be sending you guys emails that say, hey, please send me your stuff so that I can finalize those documents. Other than that, let's keep on trucking. So we'll go to the next slide here. If I can get my computer to be nice. There we go. So Carrie, you're up.
Yes. So this gives you an idea of who's in this meeting, and also will be part of LSMI for this session this year. You can see that we have approximately 65 senior staff members from 32 states and from one foreign country. So there's a great mix of people in this group, and lots of different hats that you wear. So you'll have a great opportunity to meet people from all different walks of life and from different career paths. We have 3 people from partisan offices and 62 that are nonpartisan. Some of those positions are, as you can see, chief of staff, senior staff attorneys, directors, chief deputies, programmer analysts, program evaluators, economists, senior fiscal analysts, chief clerks. The list goes on. So really what you're seeing is a really great cross-section of legislative staffers from across the country. You will have an opportunity to meet so many people that have so many like-minded paths that they follow, and they'll speak your language. So I think you'll really enjoy these cohorts. There are 2 of them. They are offered concurrently, and in a couple of minutes, you'll see where you're assigned within those 2 cohorts. So thanks.
Okay, so this is a real nice graphic that gives you a perspective of where everyone is from. The darker the color, the higher the density. So we certainly appreciate everyone's participation, basically from all over. That's going to kind of give you a feel for when you see the bios and where people are from. You'll have a good feel for kind of the who's who, the mix, and then you'll be able to easily, get with folks that are kind of in your area and do the same kinds of things, and you'll be able to, cross-reference and just basically network, which is one of the real strong suits of the, participation in the program. Let's see if I can, there we go. So we have you broken into 2 cohorts, really more for size, for size of the room. We have cohort 37, and of course we'll be sending this out so you'll know which one, and you'll notice that we have a good mix of people from the different areas so that we can make sure that people get to work with people that are, like I said, similarly situated geographically. And there's a cohort 37, now cohort 38 should give you the perspective there as to, where folks are situated. And again, the biographies, and that's why I need the bios and photos from everybody, so that not only will you know who's who, but you'll also get to know what they look like. So when you meet, you'll be like, oh, hey, I know you. I saw your awesome headshot, which I have everybody's in the document there for you. All right, so let's see if I can make the next slide come up. There we go. All right, so hand that one over.
Thank you, Michael. And thank you, folks. Just really are very interested in gaining an understanding of the pulse of where folks are. I think it's super important for us to figure out where folks are before we, so that we can develop the right programming around your specific needs. I like to think about this as kind of how my daughter thinks when I'm picking her up at practice. She's plays water polo. She will call me and say, are you on your way? And of course, I will say I am on my way. That doesn't mean that I'm even in the car yet, but I'm on my way, and I'm trying to give her the information that she needs, but she wants more. And so her question for me always is, where are you? So that she knows how much time she's going to have to sit and wait for me. And so there's a very specific question that she asks me every single day, not are you on your way, but where are you? And I think that's more powerful and important. And so for us, I think what we intend to do with this portion of today's discussion here is to gather an understanding of where you are, and we'll share that information with our presenters and try to make the most impactful presentation possible. So when we think about work modality, is it in your office? Are you working from home? Is there a kind of a hybrid situation? Where do you spend most of your hours at work these days? And certainly coming out of COVID, that could still be sort of a mixed bag. And we hope to know a little bit more today from a poll that will be able to answer that. So please take a moment. We'll take about 15 seconds here. Please answer the question, where do you spend most of your working hours? In the office? Are you fully back post-COVID, hybrid, part-time office, part-time remote, fully remote? Also, compared to pre-COVID, how would you describe your work environment? So single choice there, more positive down to more negative. So sort of when looking back and you would compare your experience pre-COVID as far as how you do your work, would you say that your environment is more positive, about the same, or more negative? Also want to make sure you're answering the question, how comfortable are you having difficult conversations in the workplace? Are you on one end very comfortable or do you avoid difficult conversations at work? For what type of challenges are you facing right now? Certainly every state is dealing with turnover, but what are some of your, this is a multiple choice answer. Are you dealing with HR issues and staffing, overworked, not enough staff? I'd like to really get a better understanding of this so that we, again, can share this information with our presenters.
I have a quick question about question 4.
Yes.
The top answer says staffing, HR types, and do you mean HR issues? Or I didn't know what types referred to.
Actually, I don't either. Maybe Eleni
Yes.
can offer some insight.
Yes, HR issues. That's correct.
Okay.
Thanks for the clarification.
Number 5, what types of challenges are you facing right now? And specifically, this is a multiple choice answer if you so choose. And then 6, how would you describe your office culture as it relates to observed predominant leadership actions? Do you feel like it's, a control space? Is it more open to, collaboration and coordination, adopt, motivate, or empower?
And we'll give everyone just about another minute or so.
With question number 1, we're 67%, a majority there, 2/3 work hybrid. So that's quite interesting. Compared to pre-COVID, how would you describe your work environment? We see about the same, and then followed by positive, and then more positive. How comfortable are you with having difficult conversations? We see sort of moderate, middle of the road. Sometimes yes, sometimes not, I would say. That's how I would analyze that. And followed by closer to avoiding. But no one said or just maybe one person, actually no one said avoiding at all costs. So somewhere between not at all and a little bit, having difficult conversations. What type of challenges are you facing right now? We're seeing that staff turnover and political environment is ruling the day there. What types of challenges are you facing right now? It would appear that process management and keeping up, there's much to do and not enough time. How would you describe your office culture as it relates to observe predominant leadership actions? Coordinate. All right. Thank you for this. And so we'll move on to the next. We'll move on to the next slide. But please understand that we'll use this information to share with our presenters, and it'll be very informative for how we meet you where you are. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'd just like to give a little bit of history about LSMI. The program was first held in 1990 at the Humphrey Institute in Minnesota, and then transitioned to Sacramento in 2005. Is currently a partnership between NCSL, National Conference of States Legislatures, Cal State University at Sacramento, and the University of South Carolina. For sponsors, the NCSL Foundation has really taken this as a responsibility of the foundation to make sure that this program is properly funded. They have committed $95,000 towards the program for this calendar year. $90,000 of those dollars go towards the on-site delivery of this program in Sacramento. The remainder of that $95,000, it goes to an alumni reception, which will be at the NCSL Summit in Indianapolis this year. And so for those of you attending Summit, this is a shameless plug. Please attend Summit. We hope to see all your faces there. It's a big deal to go to the alumni reception that we hold there, and love to see all the new graduates of LSMI, as well as those people who have attended in the past. Many of those folks you might recognize throughout your work structure. So I'm hoping that once you finish this program, if you have the opportunity to attend in Indianapolis, that you will attend the reception that is funded. So thank you.
Go on to the next. And goals. All right. So big takeaway from the program, the LSMI program this year and every year, is opportunities to sharpen your axe, right? Expand your leadership network of highly skilled legislative staff from across the country, and advance the role of the legislature as a vital institution of our democracy. We are all point people. We have invested our lives in maintaining the integrity of our democracy. We are in a position where we would really like to give you the tools and to help your states further that goal of maintaining our democracy, the integrity of our democracy. And we believe that by the end of the program, you will be a better manager and leader. You will build upon your strengths as opposed to any kind of deficits, but you will also be quite reflective throughout this process to better understand yourself and your community that you work in. You'll develop these professional networks, which will enable you to then be more resourceful for your state legislature, which is super crucial. Just learning best practices, being able to pick up a phone, being able to email one of your former alumni from LSMI to get a feel for what's going on in different states. And we'll create lots of opportunities throughout the week to give you safe spaces, bold spaces to have those kinds of conversations. You'll expand those resources, and you'll most importantly learn how to apply your newfound skills experientially through this program, and as well once you get back to your state, which is ultimately, we feel like the biggest takeaway will be your network. And then the new skills that you'll be able to kind of use once you hit the ground, and you'll hit the ground running. Thank you.
So the approach that we use is fundamentally, and all of the programming at LSMI is focused on self and social awareness. And a lot of us have heard that term, self-awareness, understanding yourself, how you think, but it's also about how you appear to others. And you'll sort of see that lesson in some of the homework that we're going to give you, in asking others to reflect on how you come across. That's very important in so many ways. Even if you're not a manager, if you're trying to create change from the middle, it's really fundamental as part of leadership.
All right. So when we think about the history of LSMI, we've come from the approach of a socio-ecological model, which recognizes that leadership happens at different levels. So individual, group, organization, community, and society. And so for the focus that we would like to have for LSMI, we're going to stay within the individual, group, and organizational space. We feel like that this is from LSMI standpoint, enabled by focusing on this particular section, like individual, group, and organizational level, we will begin to, take real action in our lives and in our workspaces and within our groups. There is a ripple effect that inevitably impacts society, but we'll stay within the individual, group, and organization space with the idea that you will be able to build on your skills throughout the week. And again, hit the ground running when you get back to your particular state. All right. So this, again, is just a visual of what we hope to give you through experiential learning. You'll gain knowledge, right? Shape behaviors and change attitudes. But again, we will spend a lot more time kind of focusing on the behaviors and the changing of attitudes throughout this process. And we'll get deep and wide and take moments, away from the busy lives that we have in our legislative cycle, which many of you may be even dealing with special sessions at the time that we are in LSMI. We work, so intensely in our spaces, doing, getting things done. This is an opportunity to reflect, relearn things that we may have forgotten about ourselves and about our environment and about others in our environment. It may be new information that you gain and are then able to put into use. It again might be things that you relearn, but we will really focus our reflections and sort of being present in ways that we will begin to shape behavior and change attitudes. And again, this is very experiential. So you'll be tested in spaces where you'll feel safe. You'll be vulnerable to bring your full self to the table. But it'll be challenging. You'll feel that nudge inside yourself that you'll need to be vulnerable in order to make change. We invite you to be as present as you can be through this process, recognizing that it can get very busy throughout this week. And so we understand that you'll be pulled away at times for necessity, but that we hope you'll be fully present when you can be with us. I know we understand you'll have to be on phones or laptops, but that when you can be with us, that you are fully present. And then we will be able to really learn through experience. And here's the perfect example of a cartoon that demonstrates this, where the caption says, well, this shouldn't last very long. So nothing to it but to do it. And we will get deep and wide and this type of learning experientially.
Okay. Well, that was great. Thank you very much, Jamie and Carrie and Leonore. So the faculty and presenters that you'll have or that we'll have with us when you're here in July, we'll have some of them giving some pretty good stuff that I think you're going to be able to take. Jamie talks about experiential learning. There's that phrase that goes, I hear, I forget, I see, I remember, I experience, I understand. Ideally, from any type of synthesis of learning, you want to be able to apply ultimately what you've learned. Kind of like, and I tell my students this, they don't like it, but the word problems that you learned in math. It's one thing to learn how to do the math, but if you can't apply it to the word problems of life, then obviously there's something missing. So a lot of what you're going to hear, you'll hear things, for example, who are you as a American legislature? You'll hear that from Natalie Wood. You'll hear reflections and so forth. But when we get into the future of work, you'll hear that from Carol Geffner. The future of work is pretty impressive when you start to think about, and a bit scary when you start to think about, for example, AI and all of the things that are invading the world today. I have to deal with, my students, not so much cheating with Chat GPT, but you can't fight it. It's like the calculator. So the future of work is going to be a very interesting presentation. We'll get into social styles with Mark, and that'll be an interesting one because it'll cover a lot of the perspectives of how we interact on a day-to-day basis. Of course, how about working with difficult people? My daughter's a marriage and family therapist. She just graduated a couple of weeks ago, and so she's going to go off into that world. I couldn't get her to like computer science to save my life, or public administration, but hey, she wants to be a therapist. That's awesome. But one of the things I learned in reviewing her papers and whatnot is, sometimes you have to do what you have to do, and dealing with difficult people can be a very, very, very tricky situation because you can work with that person for a long, long time. So it's important, and you're going to hear from Ruben on that. You'll also learn about self-care in the legislative environment, because clearly we have to be mindful, and we have to have mindfulness and understand what's necessary associated with, basically taking care of us, and something that we neglect a lot. In ethics, we talk about ethical egoism, the idea of it's all about me. Well, sometimes it has to be about you, not in a negative sense to the exclusion of others, but you do have to take care of yourself. It reminds me of when, and you all are going to be traveling, it reminds you when you're on the airplane and the flight attendants are telling you, make sure you put your mask on before you put on the mask of others. Well, your first inclination is, no, I'm going to put the mask on for my child or something. The problem with that is then you'll stop being conscious, and then you won't be able to help either of you. So yeah, you do have to think about yourself, and that'll be important. Daryl's going to jump in with some unconscious bias and microaggressions. And having worked in government, I can tell you that happens a lot, especially in municipal government with the people, the public, the constituency will come in. Why are they coming to visit you? Because they have a problem, and you have to accept that and understand that. And sometimes it's your own colleagues when they're stressed or having issues. We have a bias or microaggressions that happen, and we have to know how to control our own, and we also have to know how to deal with it when they come at us, because we have to recognize that we don't have the ability to change other people's behavior. We can only affect the reaction to that behavior, and that's really important. Colonel Gil Juarez is going to talk about from fear to confidence, framing success, a strong military leader. Anybody in the Marine Corps, hoorah, Semper Fi. So you'll hear from him there. He'll also talk about celebrating a win. What does that really mean? How do we deal with that appropriately? Mira's going to talk about leadership brand exploration, and that's going to be important because it's all about leadership and how we get from one place to another. Then we'll get Angela is going to jump in and talk about risk essentials, and then we'll have rules of engagement. And I think that's all that I have listed. So we'll get a good cross-section of topics, a good perspective. The way it'll work is we'll have, for example, one presenter will be here, with cohort 37 in one room, and then they'll swap. And so everybody gets everybody. You don't have to worry about that. There may be some plenary sessions and so forth where everybody will get to hear. But ideally, everybody gets the same information, and you'll have that available to you. Let's see if I can get the next slide to pop up. There we go. I don't have the pictures yet. I apologize, but as soon as I get the alumni panel pictures up there, you'll get those as well. But that's an important aspect of this entire process, is the idea that you get to hear from people who have already gone through the process. Having seen how alumni type panels work, you get the firsthand experience of those who have already gone through it, and they'll be able to share with you, the really great things that sometimes you might not have thought about. And that's really good, because then you get the ability to not only vicariously enjoy and evolve through what they've learned, but then it compounds. It's kind of a complementary effect, and the sum of the parts is greater than the whole type of thing. So it becomes very, very valuable there. Okay. So let's see here.
I can just,
Oh, okay.
No, I was just going to say,
Yeah, go ahead.
some of you work with these folks. Linnea Montoya is from New Mexico. She attended last year. Philip Manny's from Texas, an IT person, was here last year. Jared Tatros from Idaho. Jared and Casey Norick went quite a few years ago, but the rest are recent attendees from last year. Regina Wilson is from Oregon, and she attended last year, and they'll really be able to kind of talk to you about, implementing what you've learned and how you can use what you're learning from LSMI to change the way that you look at your current job, your current challenges, maybe change some behaviors, and look at things in a different light.
Fantastic. Perfect. All right. Let me see if I can. There we go. Okay. I think Jamie, you're up.
Yes, just wanting to recognize that COVID-19 is still somewhat with us. Obviously, we are going to be responsive to whatever's happening at the time of LSMI. To let folks know, we will follow state, local, and university guidelines. Obviously, as things change, if they do, we will communicate that to you with the Monday morning communications that will come to you, are the weekly communications in the lead up to LSMI. We just want to let you know we are very aware of it. We've had to deal with the COVID, every year since 2020. Glad that we could be in person, though. A couple of years ago, we were completely virtual. So we will work with whatever we have to deliver program. And in doing so, we'll make sure that we have masks available and tests available on site each day, ensuring your safety. Yes, Leonore.
I was just going to say, if you have health issues or you are a caregiver of someone who has health issues or medically fragile, please just reach out to us. And we can work something out. We'll try to make sure that you feel physically comfortable to be able to participate.
Okay, considerations. A big part of this is kind of dealing with that feeling of nervousness when you know you're going to be called on, or that you need to participate or put yourself out there. If you feel that at all, that's a sign that you're going to grow. It's your body's reaction to the moment of, I've got to show myself in front of this group of people and be vulnerable. We welcome that. I think that's where you no longer are the same. Your body recognizes that there's going to be a shift in that experience. You're going to put yourself out there. We welcome that. And we hope that it's a positive thing for everyone. For some of us, it'll be easier. For others, it will be harder. But support the members of your cohort and of this group, and making sure that folks are sharing and part of the experience and taking as much as they can from that experience, from the interactions that we have, from the challenge of being a part of each exercise. For letting folks know where you stand and what your reflections are. Very, very important. You get comfortable being a little bit uncomfortable, and that when you feel that little feeling of, I don't know if I'm comfortable saying what I'm going to say, certainly we welcome you to say it in all of the right ways, but to be participatory and to push yourself and nudge yourself. We also want you to develop new relationships through this process. Obviously, that's one of the biggest and strongest takeaways from this program, is to have cross-functional relationships with people who essentially understand what you do and can provide guidance or advice or counsel as you move forward in your career. We will be responsible for creating a community of learning and having interactive discussions and exercises and assignments. We want to take you sort of, out of what you normally do every single day and put you in a space where you can be present. Again, life is going to be happening during this week. Things will come up on the job, but we really want you to take that time when you can and be present and be with us and be in a process of developing the type of community in your state that you want to see. It starts here. we want to encourage you to work on those things and to be present so that you can reflect and you can learn from yourself. You can challenge yourself to move out of your comfort zone, develop new relationships through the interactive discussions, exercises, and assignments. And just being present is the gift that we all have when we are alive. And when you're there, you're there. When you're all in, you're all in. So we really appreciate you being all in when you can.
Okay, so you all know the dates. Hopefully you've got your flights or are making arrangements. This is a 8-day, very intense program. Not to scare anybody, but I'm sure it's not more intense than what you deal with on a day-to-day basis. But it'll be intense in a different way because this is investing in you. The reason you're here is because your organization decided that you are worth investing in. So going back to Jamie's previous point, be present. Make sure that you're taking advantage of the fact that your organization is investing in you. They're spending money on you. They're making sure that you can take a break from work to invest in you. So make sure you invest in yourself. USC Sacramento is going to be our home base. That's near downtown. We will have a morning exercise challenge as part of this. This is voluntary, but it's part of the self-care theme that will be discussed by one of the presenters, but we're going to try to take that throughout every day. And I know for a lot of us as staff, we're not used to taking care of ourselves. We're used to taking care of other people. We're used to taking care of the institution. We sacrifice ourselves a lot. We put ourselves last. This is an opportunity for you to put yourself first. And the morning exercise challenge is part of that. As a general rule, the program is going to be from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Please try as much as you can to, put your phone away and try to be present. Again, this is an opportunity for you to invest in yourself. Some sessions will be with both cohorts together. Some sessions will be with your cohort. There will be opportunities for you to meet folks from the other cohort, and in particular, an exercise where we will intentionally put you in small groups by type of job. So you have an opportunity to meet people from other states that do the same thing you do. For example, I'm a fiscal person. Anybody do fiscal notes or budget stuff? Raise your hand. Any fiscal folks? Budget nerds? Yay. Becky, Michael. Okay, good. So we would all sit in a group together and talk about the challenges that we have. Networking events. There's going to be a baseball game, July 21st. Group dinner, but also evenings, you'll have some time to meet with folks and lunches. Some field trips are the state capitol on July 24th. Quarry Park Adventures, that's going to be a fun physical activity. Make sure that you bring some tennis shoes. And then we'll all go to San Francisco on July 26th, which you've probably heard about that trip, which is a lot of fun. So the bus ride over everywhere, there are a lot of opportunities to meet new folks. So assignments, I mentioned this before. Some of the things, this is homework for you. You will be receiving this in an email. The first piece is the social styles inventory. Mark Quiner from NCSL will be doing a presentation on social styles. This is really helpful. This is on how you appear to others. Mentioned self-awareness. So you'll have to make sure that others fill out a questionnaire, and there will be a questionnaire for you. The learning and action log is something that we will be using throughout the 8-day training. This will be an opportunity for you to apply what you're learning to where you sit. Feedback. We are going to ask you to give us feedback every day on every session. This is really important, and it's what we use to change the program every year. We got some feedback last year that we're now incorporating into this year's program. So we're going to bug you about the feedback, and there's a reason for it. Executive coaching, this is something that we're going to offer at the end in the fall. This is really great. This was not available to me when I went through LSMI in 2009. It's wonderful. This is an opportunity for you to get personalized there's some questions in the chat. I'm looking. Personalized help in achieving your goals. And then, oops, I think that's it. Yeah, the executive coaching. So there will be some sign up opportunities during the 8 days for the fall executive coaching. And I think that's it for that slide. But I want to make sure I'm looking at some of the questions. Maybe we'll get to that at the end.
So what I'll be doing, I was going to say either one of us, we can do rock, paper, scissors, however. No, just teasing. So we'll have some DocuSign forms that I'll be sending out for those of you that are going to want to participate in the Quarry experience. And then the inventory will send out, as Leonor mentioned, we'll send out the links ahead of time so you can do that before you come. I want to make sure you do that. And then we'll also send you the learning and action log as well. And I'll send, we'll have all the materials. I think you saw that. We'll send out the curriculum document and the fall schedule and all that stuff as soon as it's all finalized.
I think we have some questions about when the program begins. Yes, the program begins on July 21st at 1 p.m. So make your arrangements accordingly. I think some of the questions about the game. Yeah, I think, just a reminder, please register through the NCSL link. And that's how your invoice is sent to your state for payment. Carrie, do you want to chime in on that?
Sure. Yes, you all should have received an email from Sarah Altschuler, who is our admin here at NCSL, and she has sent out the information on the registration link and how to get an NCSL login if you do not already have one. The necessity of doing that is that once you're registered, then your state will be invoiced. Until you register officially in that location, your state will not be invoiced. She is going to send out a reminder email to those of you that have not registered. So, and that's really only just a handful of people. So the rest of you who have already done this, you can just tune this all out. But this is just for just a small group of you that still need to do this. Just a reminder, don't ignore the email, go ahead and register for it, and then we'll get an invoice sent to your for your payment.
Okay, I think that pretty much covers it. If there's other questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. One of the most important things to remember is that if you have questions or if you're going to send me any of the materials that I request, of course, you can simply reply to it. You'll likely get the email. It'll either come from me or it'll come from lead@usc.edu. So make sure that you reply back. I monitor both accounts. So if you send it back to me directly, that's totally fine. Otherwise, I'll be talking to some of you to make sure you get your homework turned in.
For those who maybe haven't typed in their question but want to ask it, we can stay here a little bit past the end. If you don't want to ask it now, feel free to ask it now. Might help another person as well. Okay. No questions. What's the meeting attire? Business casual. I mean, you could go. We want you to be comfortable. You don't have to look like me. You can look a lot more comfortable, but I would say business casual, maybe more on the casual than business. But comfortability is key, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with jeans as long as you have a nice shirt or something like that.
I would like to add that there is quite a bit of walking on some days. So make sure that you do have comfortable shoes when you're walking. Sacramento will be warm. And, so you don't want to be stuck wearing shoes that are uncomfortable in hot weather. So just something to think about when you're packing.
Tennis shoes are fine. And this state does not really have a dress code at all. So that's not going to be a consideration for when we have a dinner or anything like that, for the folks who come from states that have dress codes for things.
No ties. Please don't wear a tie or a business like this is. We do not want to see you as if you were walking into a legislative session. We want you to be comfortable in your own skin. And as was said, really comfortable walking shoes. You will be walking.
Do we have any programming on July 28th? Or is that closing dinner the last thing that we do?
Yeah, we do have a morning exercise challenge. We'll have the continental breakfast. We will have, we'll talk about the week, the experience that we had. We'll wrap up around 11:45 after graduation. So we will have a formal graduation kind of ceremony, formal, informal. It's sort of somewhat casual, but we want to recognize you on that day, and we'll finish up around 11:45.
Okay, great. I was just wondering for flights out. I didn't want to miss anything that last. So that's very helpful. Thanks.
Sure.
Will the full schedule include the meals that are included in the tuition amount? I'm a big planner, so I'm trying to plan out also like how much money I'll be paying for the program.
Yes, it will include the dinners. And it'll specify dinner on your own when it's on your own.
Yeah,
which again are opportunities to, and we'll have a whole list of places nearby that are within walking distance of the hotel for those of you who want to, explore and maybe meet with somebody who's from another state that you want to talk to, which is, for me, the best part of LSMI. Well, there are lots of wonderful parts, but meeting people from other states and learning how they do things, and you can really, it's a great opportunity to nerd out. Like if you're a fiscal person, learning about the challenges that other states deal with in terms of like the initiatives, voter initiatives that impose things. It's just a great way to talk to people who understand what you do, when you can't even explain it to your own family, right? Like, what do you do? Why were you there all night? Why have you worked 8 days in a row with that? Other people understand that, and it's a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, definitely understand that. The city council meetings that used to last until 2 and 3 and 4 in the morning, and yeah, hilarious. I can only imagine what it was like at the state too. A couple of things I would point out. I do see. Thank you, Paul, for your question about arrive. Some of you are arriving a day early, maybe even staying a day or two later. This is really important that you send that information to me when I ask for it. I have almost everybody's. I have about a dozen of you that haven't quite sent in your information yet. It's really important because I need that really by today, if not tomorrow at the latest, because I have to communicate with the hotels in order to be able to block the rooms and make sure that the reservations are there. So if you're going to arrive on the 20th and or leave on the 29th or 30th or whatever, I need to know that. Now, the program covers the dates 21 through 28, but does not include anything before or after that. So that would be something that you'll be responsible for at checkout. But I need to let them know, hey, I need the room starting at this day and ending at this day. So if I send you an email, if you haven't already given it to me, please make sure that you respond to me as soon as possible with your arrangements so that we can make sure that the rooms are reserved, even for the extra days, pre or post event, so that we can make sure that your reservation is held, accordingly. As far as on that note, like I said, I'll send that out to you today. And so if I need it from you, make sure that you let me know. I'm not positive. I see that, Elaine, thank you for your question. I'm not positive what the rates are for other days. I don't know what the arrangement is yet. But if one of the other panelists here can mention that, that would be great. Otherwise, we'll have to get back to you on that once I hear back from the hotel.
And we'll attempt to get you the same rate that you would get for the program. We can't guarantee it, but we'll put our best foot forward there. And the more information Michael has from all of you in a timely fashion will help us to negotiate that as a block. And so get that in if you haven't already done so.
Quick word about weather. It will be hot here, but it does cool down in the evenings. And by cool, I don't mean like Minnesota cool, but like it'll be in the 60s in the evening. San Francisco can be cold during the summer, not really cold compared to the rest of the state, but it can sometimes get in the 50s. So just bring a light jacket or some kind of windbreaker, just in case.
Anything else from any of the attendees? We'll try to answer your question for you. Yeah, as far as the airfare, my understanding is yes, that's something that you are responsible for.
Yes, the airfare is not included in the price of tuition. Correct.
All right. Well, thank you all very much. Look forward to meeting all of you next month. We'll have a good time. My jokes are free. You don't have to pay extra for those. I used to tell a lot of chemistry jokes, but I never got a reaction. And I told them periodically. Okay, that's my dad joke for the day. Awesome. Anyway, thank you all very much. I hope you have a great rest of your day, morning, afternoon, evening, nighttime. I know we have a representative from Ghana. I don't know what time it is there. If you don't mind, throw in the chat what time it is. We'd love to know since you're coming from the furthest away. But anyway, thank you all very much.